guys, welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I am sharing this makeup look I wore to the CMA Fest this past weekend in Nashville. It was so incredibly hot. It was about 91 degrees the entire day. I was there from 11 in the morning until midnight. So for over 12 hours, I was in the hot heat. And of course, I was Snapchatting the entire time. And I noticed that midday, I started getting a lot of questions on what foundation I was wearing, how I was getting my makeup to last, how my foundation wasn't melting off. And so I started documenting my makeup after I started getting all of those questions. And I thought to myself, okay, if this makeup holds up this good, I might as well just go ahead and do a tutorial on it. So the entire day, I only had to touch up my makeup one time. I was so incredibly pleased with how the makeup held up, how it lasted, and really the only reason I had to touch up is because my sunglasses kind of smudged around the nose area. There's like nothing you can do about that. It sucks. You either just don't wear sunglasses or you just deal with it. So I'm going to take you through the products that I used to achieve this look. It's definitely more of a fuller coverage outdoor look. Normally when it's that hot out, I won't wear a ton of makeup, but I just wanted to experiment with more of a medium to fuller coverage face look. And since it did last so well, I just thought I would go ahead and film about it and share with you guys what I did. So if you are interested in this look, then just keep on watching. So for your primer, you're definitely going to want to skip out on your everyday primer if it's hydrating or illuminating. Basically, if your everyday primer doesn't have smoothing properties or long lasting properties to it to help your makeup last longer, then you may want to reconsider looking into a different primer that may have more of a smoothing finish to it or almost like a tacky finish to help your foundation last throughout the day. So I actually used my Nuance by Selma Hayek primer. This is the Blur Perfection primer. It did so good during all of the heat that I was in last Saturday at the CMA Fest. And so this is what I used. I also really like the Makeup Forever Step 1 Smoothing Primer. This is a really good option too. But since I used this for the actual festival, I am just going to use it again. This is a little bit more of a mattifying primer as well, but it really does smooth in your pores. And it really did make my Complexion Rescue, which is what I used as well, last Saturday. It really did make that last throughout the day. So I was super impressed with this primer, and I think you can get it at CVS. So like I said, I used my bareMinerals Complexion Rescue when I went to the CMA Fest last weekend, and I don't know if it was a combination of the primer that I used mixed with the powder that I set this with, but my Complexion Rescue held up so nicely the entire day. And I had so many people Snapchatting me saying, what are you wearing? Like, what are you wearing? A lot of you guys were there too, and I know the makeup was melting off a ton of people, and so many people were like, what are you wearing on your skin and how are you getting it to last? And it was just my bareMinerals Complexion Rescue. This is great for festivals, mainly because it does have SPF 30 in it. It's got a light to medium coverage, very comfortable on the skin, and I did have a couple questions from those of you who do wear this and you can't get it to stay. Basically, I'm just going to go through my entire routine that I did the day of that and just show you how I got mine to stay all day. Because I know this is a little bit more of a lighter weight product, but follow along and hopefully it will help. So I'm using the shade Wheat 4.5. This is one of the new shades that they released, and I'm just going to go ahead and dot this all over. I am also using my bareMinerals Precision Face Brush. Using a brush with this product, I think, does give you a little bit more coverage. You can also use your hands. That does work as well too. But I'm just buffing this in like I would any other day. So on most days when I know I'm going to be outside in the hot heat, I would literally just stop right here, set my face with a little bit of translucent powder, and I would be completely done. But for some reason, I wanted to experiment with a little bit more of like a medium to full coverage face and not focus as much on the eye makeup. My eyelids are super oily. I kind of knew that the shadow would be falling off throughout the day, so I really didn't do much with my eyes. So instead, I wanted to test out a little bit more of like a medium coverage coverage look. So if you are just super lightweight, you feel like this would be enough, you could stop right here, set your face with a little bit of powder, but honestly I actually just went in and added a little bit more coverage. So I'm going to show you guys how I did that. First, I took my Maybelline Instant Age Rewind concealer. This concealer held up so well. This is what I actually used for my under eye area. So I'm just going to dab a little bit of this concealer to conceal my under eye area down the bridge of my nose. But I was very impressed with the way this concealer held up. It did not crease on me. This is actually one of my all-time favorite concealers, especially for the under eye area for that particular reason. So I just went ahead and applied about this much underneath my under eye area, and this is where the important part starts to come in at. I know I don't use a beauty blender a lot in my videos, but when it comes to actually keeping products on your skin all day, you really need to make sure you're pressing products into your skin as opposed to brushing them on, especially when it comes to concealer. So I'm going to take my beauty blender. This is actually just slightly damp. It's not 100% damp, you know, soaked in water. I actually prefer my beauty blender this way when blending out products. So I'm just going to take that and press that into my skin. And basically, every single product that we're going to apply onto the skin after this is going to be pressed into the skin. And that's really where you're going to get the longevity other than using a primer. Really pressing products into your skin is just going to give you the maximum wear as opposed to brushing. So where I also find that my makeup rubs off the quickest or melts off the quickest is actually along my jawline. For some reason, makeup just does not want to stay there. And I don't know if it's because I have a lot of freckles here and they're just more visible, but that's where I always find that my foundation or BB cream, that's where I always find that it looks the patchiest if I'm out in the sun. So what I did is I actually went in with my bareMinerals Bare Skin Concealer to add that extra coverage to those areas that tend to get patchy or tend to fall off. For you guys, that may be around your cheek area, your forehead, your T-zone. So my biggest suggestion if you're going with a lighter coverage product like a BB cream or the Complexion Rescue is to just go in and add some concealer to those problem areas where you do find that the makeup comes off. So basically what I did is I have to mix two colors because I don't actually have the concealer in my right color right now. I'm going to mix medium golden and light, and I just added a few kind of streaks along my jawline and just went ahead and blended those out with my beauty blender. Not really complicated. That's just how I kind of got that extra coverage without it looking overly cakey or without me having to use a really heavy foundation. So to set my under eye area, I used my It Cosmetics Bye Bye Pores Press Powder, and again, I just used my slightly damp beauty blender. I got a little bit on the back of it, and I just pressed that into my under eye area. And this is how I set the upper portion of my face. And like I said, since I do have a problem with makeup staying on the bottom part, I went in with a different powder, which I will show you guys next. So the powder that I used to set the lower part of my face is the Lorac Porefection powder. You guys know, all-time favorite here. I actually took that to touch up with. I only had to touch my makeup up one time the entire day. We were there from, I think, about 11 in the morning until 11 at night. So that full 12 hours, I only had to touch up once, and I did bring that powder, and it literally just smoothed everything out. After I had sweat and, you know, things were starting to look a little out of place, this just kind of popped everything back together. So I would just highly, highly suggest this powder. And basically what I did was just took my Up and Up powder brush and just press that into my skin where I placed the concealer. And this just is to ensure that the concealer is locked into place. And again, this is just how I do my makeup because this is where the product falls off my face, and this is where I really have to lock stuff in at. So now now is where I went in and added a little bit more dimension and highlight and just life back into my skin. I did do just a little bit of contouring with my NARS Tahiti Laguna bronzer. I'm using my MAC, oh goodness, the number has ran off of this brush. I'm not sure what number this is, 137 I want to say, possibly. But this is a really great brush to do like a semi contour with if you don't want, you know, that super harsh contour but you still want a little bit of definition. This brush is the perfect size for that. It really just gives you a slight emphasis without, you know, giving you that harsh look. So this is the brush that I use just to give my cheeks some definition. Warmth back into my skin, I used my MAC Mineralize Skin Finish and Give Me Sun. I just used a really small amount of this to go over my contour, and this just adds a little bit more of a warm tone to my skin as opposed to like the ashiness that does come from the contour. I pretty much use this product every day anyways, so this is just an extra step that I take to basically just warm up my skin. For blush, I have been loving Becca's Luminous blush and Blushed Copper. I just think that this is a stunning summer color. It really just warms up the cheeks and gives you, I don't know, I can't describe it, but it's what I've been wearing in every single video recently, and I've had so many questions on what I've been wearing, and this has been the blush. I just absolutely love it. So this is also what I wore, and as far as it holding up, I feel like it held up pretty well. I do think the color faded by probably around like the 8th or 9th hour, but at that point I wasn't too concerned as long as my foundation was still on and I didn't look like a cakey or melted mess. I was totally fine. So just going to show you what I used for those of you who were asking. So by now, I feel like some of you guys may be thinking, wow, this is like kind of a lot of makeup for festival wear. Yes, I do understand, and like I said, this is not what I would normally have worn, but I was just so impressed at how well it stood up to the heat that I just wanted to share with you guys. So just to add some cream and some dimension back into my skin, for a highlighter, I used my Benefit What's Up. And I just used that on the back of my beauty blender and I pressed that into my skin. If there is one product that looked amazing all day, it was this highlighter. I just felt like this made my skin look so real and natural and healthy, especially after I did have to apply 2 powders just to ensure everything would stay in place. This highlighter did such a good job of just making my skin look, you know, a little bit less powdery because I did have to use a lot of powders. So I just used this with the beauty blender and pressed it into my skin. You can see it gives this gorgeous highlighted effect. And I just basically added it to the tip of my nose and my cheekbones. Urban Decay All Nighter was a must-have. I kept my mini bottle of this along with my Lorac Porefection powder in my purse all day, and this, I have to give it to this too. I feel like the All Nighter spray really did help refresh my makeup, especially after I had to touch up with a Lorac powder. This really toned down the powdery look and helped to lock my makeup in place. So I'm just going to do a few spritz of this all over to ensure that everything stays in place, doesn't move around, and it kind of tones down the powders a little bit. So for my brows, I tried to keep them as natural as possible. I didn't really want to have to worry about a brow pencil smudging all day or like a dip brow. So I just used my regular everyday eyeshadow powders, which are MAC Soft Brown or Charcoal Brown and Wedge. And they pretty much just look like this. And as far as eyeshadow goes, I have super oily eyelids. There was no reason for me at all to wear an extravagant eye look to the CMA Fest, mainly because I was going to be wearing my sunglasses all day anyways, and also my eyelids are super oily. So I just didn't want to go for like that melted off shadow look. Instead, I just applied what I'm applying right now, which is my MAC's Paint Pot in Soft Ochre, just to ensure that the shadows I did apply would stay on all day, and they held up pretty nicely. So basically all I did was I took my Stila in the Light eyeshadow palette, and I just took this Bare shade right here, it's literally called Bare, and I applied that all over my lid as an actual base. And then I just added a little bit of definition in my crease. I'm using my favorite crease color of all time. It's called Bliss. It's also from the Stila in the Lights palette. It's just a really nice kind of light mauve tone shade. And this is basically all I did for eyeshadow. It just added a little bit of definition. So you could tell I did have just a teensy bit of shadow and definition going on when I wasn't wearing my sunglasses. And honestly, this is one of my favorite everyday makeup eye looks to do anyways, just because it's super quick and it just really flatters my eye shape. For my mascara, I used MAC's Extended Play Giga Black Lash. This is a smudge-proof mascara. Really great for those of you who have a problem with mascaras bleeding on you, or you could just use a 100% waterproof mascara. I personally don't like waterproof mascaras. I think they make my eyelashes look super weird. So this is the one that I used. And like I said, I didn't focus on my eye makeup. I really just wanted to focus on having really nice skin the entire day, and just focus on it not melting off basically. So this is all I did for my eye makeup. A little bit of shadow and a little bit of mascara. Okay, and lastly for my lips, I was actually scared to death to do this lip combo because I thought I would have to reapply it all day, but it was just something I wanted to test out, like this overall makeup look, and it ended up being amazing. I only had to reapply these lip colors once, and that was after I had ate midday, and I basically just wore my favorite lip combo from the new bareMinerals Gen Nude collection right now. Well, it's one of my favorites. I have so many favorite combos from that collection, but this one is the bareMinerals Liquid Matte Lip Colors in the shade Icon and Wink. Icon is a darker color, Wink is a lighter nude color, and I just use that in the center of my lip to make it look a little bit fuller. And for my lip liner, I use the shade called On Point. I only applied this once, and then for the rest of the day, like I said, I just had to reapply one more time, and I just took these with me. I didn't bother bringing the actual lip liner. But I'm going to go ahead and apply the lip liner and then show you guys how I do this combo. These freaking lippies smell amazing. I have never smelled a lip product that smelled better than these, and I couldn't describe what they smelled like exactly when I did the review, but I figured it out. I was making brownies last night, and when I opened the package of like pre-made brownie mix, that is exactly what these lip products smell like. They are so decadent and sweet. Oh, they're so good. So yeah, this color was called Icon that I just applied, and then I go in with the shade called Wink, which is slightly lighter, and I just apply that to the center of my lip and rub it in. And then right on top of that, I added my bareMinerals lip gloss in the shade called Groovy. And this is just to add a little bit of a plump effect. I didn't want my lips to be like 100% matte all day. I feel like they may look crusty. So I applied a little bit of lip gloss.